You see everyone standing right now. They're getting ready to hear from the president. He'll walk in, and then it'll take a while before he gets up to the podium. Jake Tapper is up on Capitol Hill watching all of this unfold as well. Jake, this is one of those rare moments where you got almost everyone of importance in Washington in the same room.
With the exception of Dr. Steven Chu, of course, the Energy Secretary. And here we are expecting the announcement, the famous words you were talking about
Hold on
just a
one
few
second.
minutes ago.
Here he comes.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
You see the president, he smiles, all smiles. He's happy as he meets members of the House and the Senate who have been waiting, some of them for hours and hours, for a prime position. He's being followed. You see Eric Cantor, the majority leader in the House, Harry Reid, the Senate majority leader. They are part of the official escort committee, members of the House and Senate, the leadership, who are there to bring the president into the chamber. It'll take him a while to get through this crowd. He's shaking hands with everyone he sees there. And as I said, a lot of these people have been waiting for a long time just to get a shot with the president on this important historic night, mandated, in fact, by the Constitution that he should provide a report to the nation about the State of the Union. The president will tell us what he thinks the State of the Union is momentarily. Jake, you and I have seen a lot of these State of the Union addresses. This is an important one because it kicks off the president's second term.
That's right. He will set the table for his second term. He hopes he will anyway. I do find it so interesting that there are members of the House and Senate that literally sit in those seats in the House chamber for hours upon hours just for this moment so they can shake the president's hand. It's often the same members of Congress. Congressman Eliot Engel, the man with the mustache we just saw a second ago, always sitting in the aisle. Of course, there are others who are in that chamber, Wolf, as you know, who are there to convey a different sort of message, not one of wanting to meet the president, but perhaps illustrating a policy point. We have, for instance, in the chamber, sitting with the First Lady, the parents of Hadia Pendleton, the young lady who was shot the other day. We have others. There's the mother, Cleopatra Pendleton, with First Lady Obama. And, of course, others who were in Sandy Hook. Victims of Sandy Hook. There is a teacher sitting next to the second lady, Caitlin Roig, who was a first grade, or is a first grade teacher at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Dana Bash in the chamber. You have been studying the relationship between President Obama and House Speaker John Boehner, one that has had its ups and downs. And in the last couple days, some fiery rhetoric from Speaker Boehner, Dana.
I just want to mention that the president just made a point to reach out his hand and shake his old rival John McCain's hand as he was making his way towards the podium here. Yes, on the issue of John Boehner, I was at a breakfast with him this morning, and he was quite harsh when it comes to the president. In real personal terms, he said that he doesn't have the guts or the courage to stand up to his own party, to liberals in his own party, in order to make a deal on big issues, particularly deficit reduction. I talked to him even later in the day, and I said, basically, are you calling the president a wimp? And he said, no, I just don't think he is able to do what it takes to stand up to him. So that's the kind of relationship, or frankly, non-relationship, that these two men who are going to be sitting, a foot away from each other have.
The president, having just greeted all the members of the Supreme Court in attendance, including the two that he appointed to the bench, Sonia Sotomayor and Elaine Kagan, now joining and saying hello to members of the military who are there. There's Ray Odierno, General Odierno. Wolf Blitzer at CNN Studios. Almost at the point, Wolf, where he's
these are members of the Joint Chiefs. That they are all there. The diplomatic corps is there. The cabinet is there. The cabinet and the senior White House staff there as well. You see the president He's about ready to go up to that podium. Jessica Yellen has been watching. She's been getting advanced word. Jessica, what do you think about what's going on?
You know, Wolf, this reminds me of we always describe the president as a cool, detached man. That's how the media likes to describe him. And when you see him work the crowd, he likes to say, I enjoy having a good time. And you're reminded he's good at it. He can work a room when he wants to. He just doesn't like doing it all that often.
Jessica, hold on. The speaker is now going to introduce the president, shaking hands with the vice president, shaking hands with the speaker. The speaker will introduce the president. Let's listen in as the formalities continue.
Thank you. Hey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Do I give you a seat right now? Oh, I think I got it.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, everybody else. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, fellow Americans. 51 years ago, John F. Kennedy declared to this chamber that the Constitution makes us not rivals for power, but partners for progress. It is my task, he said, to report the State of the Union. To improve it is the task of us all. Tonight, thanks to the grit and determination of the American people, there is much progress to report. After a decade of grinding war, our brave men and women in uniform are coming home. After years of grueling recession, our businesses have created over 6 million new jobs. We buy more American cars than we have in 5 years, and less foreign oil than we have in 20. Our housing market is healing, our stock market is rebounding, and consumers, patients, and homeowners enjoy stronger protections than ever before. So, together, we have cleared away the rubble of crisis. And we can say with renewed confidence that the state of our union is stronger. But we gather here knowing that there are millions of Americans whose hard work and dedication have not yet been rewarded. Our economy is adding jobs, but too many people still can't find full-time employment. Corporate profits have skyrocketed to all-time highs, but for more than a decade, wages and incomes have barely budged. It is our generation's task, then, to reignite the true engine of America's economic growth. a rising, thriving middle class. It is our unfinished task to restore the basic bargain that built this country. The idea that if you work hard and meet your responsibilities, you can get ahead, no matter where you come from, no matter what you look like or who you love. It is our unfinished task to make sure that this government works on behalf of the many and not just the few, that it encourages free enterprise, rewards individual initiative, and opens the doors of opportunity to every child across this great nation. The American people don't expect government to solve every problem. They don't expect those of us in this chamber to agree on every issue. But they do expect us to put the nation's interests before party. They do expect us to forge reasonable compromise. We can. For they know that America moves forward only when we do so together, and that the responsibility of improving this union remains the task of us all. Now, our work must begin by making some basic decisions about our budget, decisions that will have a huge impact on the strength of our recovery. Over the last few years, both parties have worked together to reduce the deficit by more than $2.5 trillion, mostly through spending cuts, but also by raising tax rates on the wealthiest 1% of Americans. As a result, we are more than halfway towards the goal of $4 trillion in deficit reduction that economists say we need to stabilize our finances. Now we need to finish the job. And the question is, how? In 2011, Congress passed a law saying that if both parties couldn't agree on a plan to reach our deficit goal, about $1 trillion worth of budget cuts would automatically go into effect this year. These sudden, harsh, arbitrary cuts would jeopardize our military readiness. They devastate priorities like education and energy and medical research. They would certainly slow our recovery and cost us hundreds of thousands of jobs. And that's why Democrats, Republicans, business leaders, and economists have already said that these cuts, known here in Washington as the sequester, are a really bad idea. Now, some in Congress have proposed preventing only the defense cuts by making even bigger cuts to things like education and job training, Medicare, and Social Security benefits. That idea is even worse. Yes, the biggest driver of our long-term debt is the rising cost of health care for an aging population. And those of us who care deeply about programs like Medicare must embrace the need for modest reforms. Otherwise, our retirement programs will crowd out the investments we need for our children and jeopardize the promise of a retirement for future generations. But we can't ask senior citizens and working families to shoulder the entire burden of deficit reduction while asking nothing more from the wealthiest and the most powerful. We won't grow the middle class simply by shifting the cost of health care or college onto families that are already struggling, or by forcing communities to lay off more teachers and more cops and more firefighters. Most Americans, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, understand that we can't just cut our way to prosperity.